Hi, Nitika. How's it going? How is your
Hi,
first week going?
it's going. It started with a bang, and then just trying to take my protein intake. I didn't realize whey protein could be heavy on stomach if you haven't taken it before. So
Hmm.
just learning now.
Yeah.
Researching and talking to you and looking for my other options. And yeah, then hoping to get back, like get stronger from here and learning more about that. I think that's what it is, learning more about what works for you, what works for your body.
Yeah.
So looking forward to try new things and be back on the track.
Awesome. That's awesome. You started right, and you said it right. Like it's you keep experimenting new things and finding what works for your body, right?
Yeah.
And that's why flexible dieting is works so well for so many
Hmm.
people. It's because there's no like set hard rules in terms of what specifically you have to eat.
Hmm.
Um, so you got to work on finding those things that could work for you in a better way. Now I was even telling Patricia, because she also just started this week. It's her
Okay.
first week as well. And she's also having a little bit of a hard time hitting her protein goals
Hmm.
and step goals and everything. And I was telling her this is extremely normal in the beginning.
Hmm.
On your first week, first of all, I don't expect perfection from anyone. I expect hard work, I expect progress, but not necessarily perfection, right?
Okay.
And especially on your first week, um, you're not going to be perfect. You're not going to hit all the macros. You're not going to hit all the steps. You're not like it's a lot at the same time. So,
Hmm.
um, let's keep focusing on one thing this week. So let's try to find what what meal plan works for you so you can hit your protein target, right? Let's start
Yeah.
with that. And then once we have that figured out and out of the way, then we can start working a little bit harder on the other aspects as well,
Hmm.
right? Um, the hold on just one second here. Let me just share my screen with you guys here. This is exactly what I want to show. I know that for the veterans, Luis Felipe and Sibeli, they've been in my program for, I don't know, half a year already or even more. So they are already masters in macro tracking. So they know this already. Um, but here, um, if you access the macro tracking made simple, that's in the Google Drive folder, you're going to see a list of foods that are going to help you hit those goals. So I know that it is a lot of, it can be a lot of information at the same time, a lot of materials at the same time, and you find yourself overwhelmed and not knowing exactly what to do and what to do first. But since we're tackling one thing at a time, and the one thing for majority of people in the beginning will be hitting the protein goal, let's
Hmm.
look for resources that can help you hit that goal first, and then we look into the other stuff. So
Hmm.
in order for you guys to have a better understanding of how to hit your protein goals and what sources are going to help you the best, I recommend reading the Macro Tracking Made Simple. Start there, right?
Okay.
So um, there there are a lot of info there on how to use MyFitnessPal properly. What are macros? What to prioritize? Why do macros matter? Like all of that stuff. But towards the end of the guide, I have those food lists where you'll be able, and here I even have like a step-by-step guide on how to meal prep, um, and then also how to make meal prep easier, blah blah blah, and a list of all the protein sources, okay, with the macros with them. So it's easy for you to just look for it and, oh, okay, this has 16 grams of protein, so I'm gonna mix this with my omelet in the morning or whatever. So, and also lean protein ideas, because one thing that you guys are going to notice, especially if you're in the beginning, is that some protein sources are also source of fats, right? So you're kind of playing a little bit of Tetris with MyFitnessPal in finding what are good protein sources that I can hit my protein goal, but don't go over my fat goals, right?
Mhm.
And fat is the most dense of the macronutrients. So fat has the most amount of calories per gram. So if you go overboard on the fats too much, it will be very easy for you to go above your caloric intake. And then when you go above your caloric intake, you store fat, right? So here I have this list of lean protein ideas, non-vegan and vegan as well. So here, lean protein ideas, fatty protein ideas, so protein that has a little bit more fat in it, and also vegan protein idea. So even if you're a vegetarian, this list can help you mix and match different sources of vegetarian protein sources, so you can grab all the nutrients, vitamins, minerals that you can have, and different types of amino acids. Amino acids are the end product of your protein. And when people say that animal sources are complete protein sources, is what they mean is that it has, usually animal sources has all the amino acids that we need in one serving, like in one sample. Now, when we're talking about eating majority of the time vegetarian or vegan, we have to grab different sources of protein so we can grab the same amount, so we can have the same amount of amino acids from all of those sources. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
So mix and matching these different protein sources here will help you a lot hitting your goals. And for those of you who are vegan or vegetarian, I have not suggested a super high protein goal. Instead, a more moderate to a lower protein goal with a little bit of a higher carb and higher fat as well, so you can incorporate those sources into your day-to-day meal planning. Here are some leaner protein swaps. So instead of, let's say, 3 eggs that you have in the morning, let's try 5 egg whites, so you're not going overboard on your fats. Or you can choose just 1 egg with 4 or 5 egg whites, so you can do those little swaps. Like, this is something that I have been doing in my own prep with my own diet. Like, in the beginning, I had a lot of fats to play with, a lot of carbs to play with. So yeah, in the morning, I was grabbing whatever bread was available. I was grabbing 2 eggs plus cheese and a lot of good stuff in it. And then once my macros got lower and lower and lower, now I have a lot less fats to play with, a lot less carbs to play with, and they just got lowered today. So no fun, but I had to adapt. So I do like my eggs in the morning, but I will not be able to fit 3 eggs or even 2 eggs and still have a full day of eating ahead of me. So instead, I'm gonna just do one whole egg with a little bit more with extra egg whites. So I'm still having the same meal, just adapted to the goals that I have right now. Instead of grabbing whatever bread was available, I went to the grocery store and looked for the nutrition labels, the types of bread that would give me the least amount of carbohydrates per serving, and the least amount of fat as well. So I could still enjoy my toast, but not going overboard on the carbs. Because if I have a bigger breakfast in the morning, then I still have a full day of eating. I still have my workout. I still have to hit all of my goals for the rest of the day. And if I eat like half of my calories for the day just for breakfast, I might end up starving at the end of the night. So you got to be smart about how you distribute your meals. It doesn't really matter for fat loss, how many meals you have a day, but in terms of digestion, in terms of how you feel and energy levels, and basically just managing hunger throughout a fat loss phase, it is important to distribute your calories in a way that makes sense for you, that makes you feel good. Another example would be with the protein, with your protein goal. If you're just eating 2 or 3 meals a day, or some people, they come from a background that they're fasting and just eating once a day, yes, you can still do that and lose weight. However, you now have a goal with the way you want your body to look, and you're doing resistance training. If you're doing resistance training, you need to consume more protein than someone who's sedentary. And there's a threshold, of course. It's not like, oh, the more protein the better. No, we calculate around 0.75 to 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. So there's math behind it in order to maximize and optimize muscle protein synthesis, so your muscles can recover and grow properly, because the workouts are just the trigger, are just signaling your body that something needs to happen there. But then protein comes, carbohydrate comes to your muscles, and we'll start rebuilding them stronger and stronger. So that's why I summarized a little bit. I kind of went off tangent here, but just so you can understand the importance of protein, why we set up the way it is, and why it is important to also distribute your meals according to, according to how you feel best. So for example, if someone has 100 grams of protein to eat in a day, if they eat in 2 servings of 50, that might be too much food at the same time for their body to digest it. So they might feel bloated and lethargic and not feel so good with that amount of protein all at once. When they can distribute those 2 meals, those 2 big meals, into 4 smaller meals and feel better and digest it a little bit faster. So it's very individualized. It's a case by case. It depends on where you're at. But for most people who are in the body composition goal, trying to lose fat at the same time they're trying to maximize muscle growth, it is interesting to split your meals throughout the day a little bit more in a smarter way. So coming back to this macro tracking made simple, leaner protein swaps that can help you hit that protein goal without going overboard on the fats. Another thing that can help you hit your protein goals as well is to increase your portion sizes, right? Instead of having, I don't know, 4 ounces of chicken breast, and now I'm just giving the example for non-vegan, but just for the sake of the example, if you're eating 4 ounces of chicken breast, you're getting 34 grams of protein. But if you know that that's your last meal for the day and you still have protein left, increase that serving size for 5 ounces of chicken breast or 6 ounces of chicken breast and see how that goes. It's like you plug on MyFitnessPal, what do you want, right? What you're going to eat, you plug in there, and then you hit this top line here, and you go to this nutrient list where you'll be able to see protein, carbs, fats, what's your goal, and how much you have left. So plug in, come to this screen, see how that played out, go back, adjust the quantity, right? Instead of eating, plugging in, or just going through the motions of, oh, I'm used to eating this portion size. I'm used to eating this serving size. I'm used to eating 1 serving of oats. Okay, what is 1 serving of oats? If you weigh it, you'll see that it's 40 grams. Do you need, or can you afford to have 40 grams of oats, or would you rather have 20 grams of oats and then have another carb source later on? So you're in charge, right? You're in charge of what you want to give priority to. Or if you prefer, like if you want to save up your carbs or fats for a larger dinner, for some special occasion, or for like if for purely preference, if you prefer to start your morning with lower carbs, if you prefer to have your lunchtime with lower carbs and save it up for the rest of the day, you can also do that. But just be mindful of those serving sizes, adjust accordingly. So it's like managing your budget, right? Adjust that accordingly so you're not playing Tetris at the end of the night, trying to fit in, I don't know, pure egg whites with spinach just because you need to hit 20 grams of protein at the end of the night, right? A little bit of planning, a little bit of tweaking and playing around, and of course, it comes with time. It comes with time and consistency. The more you do it, the more you practice it on the day-to-day basis, the easier it will get with time. More linear protein swaps here, carb sources, more carb options here. So no foods are off limits. Fat sources as well. Very, very important to get a variety of fat sources. Don't just rely on like olive oil, or don't just rely on butter, like one source. Try to mix and match as best as you can so you can grab also the benefits from each of the sources that you're eating. So for example, Brazil nuts, it's an excellent source of selenium, which is very, very important for the thyroid function, especially for us women. So put it in your macros, two Brazil nuts a day, and you're good with the selenium intake. Same thing for almonds. It's a great source of magnesium. Magnesium is very important for over 300 enzymatic processes in the body. So you can, yes, you can eat whatever you want as long as you hit your macros. However, those details on where those macros are coming from really, really matters in terms of your overall health and how you're going to feel. Like chia seeds, for instance, it's not very tasty, like not everyone likes it, but it's a great source of omega-3. It's a great source of fiber. It will help you with bowel movement, especially when your calorie gets lowered. Flax seeds is also really, really good. Hemp seeds. So grab a variety of different fat sources so you can have a very healthy meal plan. And then, of course, a little bit of some of the things that you like bacon, butter, and things like that can obviously be incorporated just in smaller portions and smaller quantities, or less frequent portions, right? Here I also have some snack options for you, protein rich snack options, so like Greek yogurt, edamame, eggs and cheese sticks, tuna pouch. So those are some of the things that can help you a lot to hit your protein goal without going overboard on your fats as well. And they're super quick to make. So if you're lacking protein, grab non-fat Greek yogurt, mix it with 1 scoop of protein powder. It can be whey protein, it can be another type of protein powder. Mix it together and you have like 30, 40 grams of protein, easy like that. Then you add your toppings. You put on like raspberries, blueberries, whatever, some nuts, and you have like pretty much a full meal in like 3 minutes. So just be creative. Use this guide. I'm going to emphasize this a lot because anytime you're running out of ideas, like our day-to-day is usually very busy, right? We're all very busy. We're all scrolling through social media and grabbing different sources of information. And like at the end of the day, our brain is tired. The last thing we want to do is to sit down and read a book, right? And read something that makes us think. So just knowing that ahead of time, when you're planning your meals, when you're planning your day, just grab this macro tracking guide and go have a look at it. If you're feeling stuck with your protein, if you're feeling stuck with something, this will help you with some ideas. Like here, I have how to hit 140 grams of protein, right? So here are, this is a full day of eating: regular diet, vegan diet, vegetarian diet. Oh, but I have 100 grams of protein a day. I have 115 grams a day. Okay, even better. Just adjust the quantities. Remember what I just told you? Like, you go back and forth, plug in, adjust the quantities, see how that plays out at the end of the day, how much you have left. And guys, please just look at protein, carbs, and fats. Do not look for vitamin A, iron, sugar, all that other information that MyFitnessPal show. Like, ignore that completely. Just look at protein, carbs, and fats. And of course, it's a good idea to keep an eye on your fiber intake as well. But my point is, here is like a whole guide on how to help you with that and how to grab some ideas. So yes, I do have the recipe guides. I do have the cookbooks with recipes in them. But I guess the starting point is this guide. Okay, once you've managed to at least understand how you're gonna get to your goal, then you can play around with the recipes. Then you can try to incorporate something different, okay? For most of you as well, I have sent a meal sample, a meal plan sample with some ideas that you can incorporate in your day-to-day. If you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling that, oh my gosh, this is just too much for me right now, just follow that meal sample while still studying this macro tracking guide, so you can over time do on your own. So you can over time make your own meal plan. Does that make sense, guys? Was it helpful?
Very much.
Awesome. Thank you. So yeah, everything is here. And I made sure to include everything that I thought it was important for you, especially in the beginning of your journey, and including like 12 easy breakfast ideas, 12 easy lunch and dinner ideas. Like, running out of ideas, come to this guide, look it up, and implement it on your day. I highly recommend, and I know this is not very environmentally friendly, but I highly recommend printing this out and having it with you, because you can make notes. I don't know about you guys, but I'm very visual. I have to like visually see it in front of me, and I like to make notes, because when I make notes, it's weird how my brain works, but I kind of remember the notes that I made, and it's easier for me to memorize and to learn new things, right? So if that's the same with you, just print it out and make it a brochure and have it with you. Make notes with you. And the more you invest time in the beginning, the easier it would be for you in the future. Make sense? Does anybody have any questions for right now?
No, I'm good. I think that was really helpful. Thank you.
Awesome. I'm glad it was helpful. So yeah, 7:30. Let's jump into. I'll do another round of Q&A at the end of the call. But right now, I wanted to jump on the topic of how to continue putting in the work even though you're not seeing results, and why I wanted to touch on this topic. Because guys, this is my personal experience now. As majority of you know, I am going to be competing in a bikini competition show in September. And I'm exactly 2 months out. And for the past 3 weeks, my weight has not moved pretty much. Just so you guys can understand, if you're not familiar with bodybuilding, with this bodybuilding world, what we're trying to do here, I am dieting and I'm eating in a calorie deficit, less than my body requires to survive. And I am trying to lose as much fat as possible, so drop my body fat while still maintaining as much muscle as possible. And that is super hard to do, because when you're, let's say, when you're 30% body fat, when you're a little overweight, it is a little bit easier to go through a dieting phase from a biological perspective, because your body still have a lot of storage for energy, and you will not feel as depleted. You'll not feel the side effects of having a very, very low body fat. Now, I didn't measure, and we don't measure body fat percentages, but I would assume that I was at about 20%, 19%, around that. And we're dropping, I'm now probably at 16-ish. And we're trying to drop to, I don't know, we don't have a body fat percentage goal. But by my experience, we're trying to get to 13 to 12% body fat. So it's a lot. Like, I'm going from lean to shredded, right? So it's like, if you put it in a timeline like this, some people go from obese to overweight to lean, right? And they'll stop there. I'm lean, I was lean, and I'm going to the shredded kind of spectrum. And that is a really hard thing to do, especially for us women, because our bodies do not want to lose body fat. It will fight with all its strength to hold on to as much body fat as possible, because we were not made to step on a stage in a little bikini in a bodybuilding competition. We were made to have babies, right? To have a little bit of fat in our hips, to have a little bit of fat in our glutes and stomachs, so we can have a nice room for the baby that will come. So whenever we try to diet down to very low levels of body fat, our body fights against it super, super hard. So there's that. And not to mention too, if you weren't part of our calls, of our latest calls from the previous weeks, I was dealing with really, really, really bad insomnia for the past 2 or 3 months, I believe. I could not, it was taking me forever to fall asleep, and I was waking up in the middle of the night, like 2, 3 times. And sometimes I wouldn't go back to asleep again. So granted, still dieting, still working out super hard, still doing all the things that I needed to do, but with 3 hours of sleep, 4 hours of sleep. And that was terrible. And I could see and feel all the effects of sleep deprivation. So when I tell you guys, please prioritize sleep, it's because it is so, so, so important and underestimated in a fat loss journey. Because when you're lacking sleep, you're going to want to snack more. This is not you being weak. This is just how the body works. The body senses that something is off and will increase cortisol, which is the stress hormone, and it will sense that you need more energy to get through the day, because
it wasn't replenished during the night. Like you didn't recover properly during the night. So you need more energy, quick energy during the day, quick energy during the day, sugar, right? So you start craving more, you start wanting to snack more. Even your hunger level increases when you're sleep deprived. And I felt all that. I felt all that. My hunger, my wanting to snack more, craving stuff. But it is not an option for me to go above my macros. It is not an option for me to not follow what I need to do. So I had to suck it up and continue dragging through the day. So, and just long story short, I'm doing a treatment with a naturopath. I did some blood work. There is something off with my hormones, with my thyroid, with my testosterone, progesterone, like little things like that are a little off. And I had to go to a naturopath, and I do recommend going to a naturopath and not to a regular doctor, because the regular doctors are not going to look into all the variables needed that needs to be looked at from a hormonal perspective. So some things are off, started doing the treatment, starting taking a bunch of supplements to try to manage stress and fall asleep and stay asleep and manage my sleep. The only thing that had worked so far is CBD and THC. Yeah, I had to go to that route. I was very, very, very hesitant to try, but I needed to. Otherwise I wouldn't sleep. And I have been sleeping a little better. I have been sleeping through the night, and that makes a whole lot of difference in my energy levels throughout the day. Like I would not be speaking to you guys here 3 weeks ago if I had not managed my sleep. So that has gotten a little bit better. That has gotten out of the way. And I was super excited to finally sleep a little better, because I know that when you don't sleep well, your body will not release fat. Your body will hold on to fat, and it will also break down muscle mass. So it's terrible. It's a terrible idea to not sleep well, because you'll lose muscle and will not lose fat. And that's not what we want. Plus, you will retain more water. Water retention will increase. So, and my weight was kind of in a plateau for a little while, but we didn't change a whole lot of things because of my sleep. So we wanted to address my sleep first, so we could then see what happened and then make changes to the diet and basically, because the workouts are the workouts. They are what they are. What really, really, really is changed and gets adjusted on a week-to-week basis is my nutrition. So we did, and my cardio as well. So we didn't play around a lot with that while I was still dealing with a lot of insomnia, because that was not my normal, and that would put my body under more stress, which is not helpful. But once my sleep got a little better, it's not 100% yet, guys, but we'll get there. Once it got a little bit better, I got super excited. Oh my gosh, I'm going to finally see the scale dropping. And just another parenthesis here. The scale is not and should not be used as the only metric, the only measure of progress. Okay. Yes, we use the scale. I weigh myself every single morning after I pee. I wake up, I pee, step on the scale, no clothes on, nothing to interfere with that number. Collect that number. That's it. And then on my check-ins, we look at my average weight for the week, just like I do with you guys. Average weight for the week. So I weigh myself every single day. Then 7 days, divide by 7, have my average. And then we also look at my waist measurement and my hips measurement and my pictures. That's the most important, because when I step on stage, the judges are not going to ask me how much I weigh. They're not going to ask me how much body fat I have. They're not going to at anything. They're going to look at me and compare with the other girls and make a decision based on that, right? It's very subjective. So we have to take the pictures into account. And even though the scale wasn't moving, we were seeing some changes on my physique, like on my pictures. That was great. But then for the past couple of check-ins, we have not seen a whole lot of difference. And I'm just 9 weeks out, which means that we are short in time. We have a deadline to hit, and we need to be at a certain, we need to look a certain way in 9 weeks. So we had to push a little bit harder this time. So she dropped more. She dropped more my carbs and dropped my fats as well, and increased my cardio to 6 times a week, 45 minutes each session, to see what will happen. Because that was very like, once I started sleeping a little better, I'm like, oh, my weight is finally gonna go down. Because it has happened before, and it does happen with some clients. Like sometimes they just sleep better, they will sleep in, they will relax a bit, and their weight's gonna drop. Luis Felipe, he's one of those guys. Like his Monday weigh-ins are usually the lowest, because on Sunday he didn't do anything, he just relaxed, he slept a little bit better, he didn't work out, he's not inflamed, like his stress levels are super low. So his weigh-ins on Mondays, and he is very disciplined with his macros as well, so he doesn't go overboard on the weekends. That's another win for him too. But Monday mornings, his weigh-ins are always the lowest. He always hit lower weights on Mondays because of that. So I was expecting that to happen with me, right? I'm like, oh, I'm going to sleep better. I'm going to wake up a pound or 2 pounds down. No, did not happen. Did not happen. And in fact, today I hit my highest weight, even though I'm doing everything right, even though I'm following my macros, even though I'm doing my cardio, even though I'm doing my training, even though I'm now sleeping a little better. So what the fuck is going on? And just like you guys, like just because I know better, or just because I am a coach and I help you guys, and just because I know exactly what to expect and what the body does, it doesn't mean that I'm immune to feeling frustrated. Just because I know that the scale is not the only measure of progress doesn't mean that I don't get frustrated when that thing doesn't move, right? Especially when you're doing everything right and putting that expectation that, oh, okay, now I'm gonna have a good night's sleep. Now I'm on point with everything. Now this scale is gonna drop. Did not happen. So, and one interesting thing that happens when you start not seeing results, and it's not like, oh, okay, the scale is not dropping, but my measurements are dropping. My waist measurements are exactly the same as last week, and my hips measurement are exactly the same as last week. So, and not a whole lot different from a couple of weeks ago. So it's not really moving, right? And when things are not moving, when you're not getting the results that you're expecting as quickly as you're expecting, it gets frustrating. It gets frustrating, and you start thinking thoughts that are not really helpful. Like, oh, you know what? This is not working. I'm just going to snack on this. I'm just going to grab one more rice cake. I'm just going to do a little bit of this. I'm just going to not track that handful of whatever that I'm going to eat. I'm just going to, oh, what's the point? What's the point? It's not working. What's the point? It's not working. And you start, like, that energy starts building up on you, and you start only thinking those kinds of thoughts, right? Like you start to plan your self-sabotage. And it happened to me today because I know better. I'm like, I might need a refeed, a higher refeed. I might need more carbs than what I'm eating now. I might need this. Oh, it's not gonna, and I started to like debate with myself. I'm like, Andrea, what do you tell your clients to do? Trust the process. Trust the process and do the work regardless of whether you're going to see the results immediately or not. You save money regardless, or you should anyways. You put money in your savings account regardless. You're not expecting to become rich after 1 week of saving money, unless you have some sort of scheme that I don't know of. But just like regular investments, they take time, right? You got to be consistent with it. You got to put in money even when the market is down, right? And you got to keep resilient when the market is down, right? Because it's going to go up and down. You know that it's going to go up and down. With stocks are like this, and with crypto is like this. Like with every type of investment, it's like that. Even the most conservative investments, you're going to put money in, but you're not going to get out that soon, especially if it's a conservative investment, right? Because it will require a longer period of time investing so you can later on reap the benefits. So it's not there. It's not like I put the money in and I get the money out and I'm rich, baby. Doesn't happen like that. And in our fat loss journey, exactly the same thing. You got to keep showing up. You got to keep doing the things that you need to do, regardless of whether or not you're feeling or sensing that you're having the results that you want, because the results that you want sometimes is just a projection. Sometimes the results that you want is just the expectation that you have in terms of results are not aligned to the action that you're willing to take. That's number one. So it becomes unrealistic because there's a mismatch. You expect the scale to drop, but you're not willing to put in the effort to do your grocery shopping, to do your meal prepping, to log in your foods in advance, to do all the work that's required in order to see the outcome. There's a mismatch there. You're just expecting the results because you just signed up with a coach, because you just decided now it's the time, but you're not really willing to put in the effort necessary consistently, regardless. I think here's the key word, regardless, right? You show up no matter what. No matter what you do, what needs to be done, because the results will happen at some point. If you give up midway, if you just start falling for that, what's the point energy, you're not going to show up as your best. You're not going to do what's required for you to do to reach your goals. You're basically going to delay your results. Does that make sense? And I myself had to talk my way out of not sabotaging myself. Yeah, me. It was hard. It was hard. I spent pretty much the whole entire day. Every once in a while, a thought would come to my mind. Oh my gosh, you should just eat a little bit more. You're gonna feel better. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do that. But heck, I hired a coach. She has all the data. She has all the info that she needs. She made the decision of how much I should be eating. I freaking have to follow the process and trust that it will work and show up with the energy that this will work no matter what. I'm going to continue putting in the work. Unless she tells me, Andrea, this is not working. You're not getting there until September 11. Let's regroup and re-strategize and see what we can do. Unless she tells me that, I cannot sabotage myself. I cannot fall for those thoughts of self-sabotage. And those thoughts, they do show up when things are hard and when you think that you don't have the results you want, right? Sometimes, yes, sometimes maybe you've hit a plateau for real. But before before just saying out loud that you've hit a plateau, the first thing that you need to do is to look back on your previous 3-4 weeks, not days. Am I showing up 100% committed to my plan? This is different. How consistent have I been for the past 3 to 4 weeks? Right? That's the first question. If you are being 100% consistent, hitting your goals for the past 3 to 4 weeks, and the scale isn't moving, now, okay, how am I feeling? How is my sleep? First and foremost, how is my hydration? Am I drinking the water that I'm supposed to be drinking every single day? Am I doing my steps? Am I doing my workouts? Right? How am I planning my meals? Am I hitting my macros? Am I hitting my macros for real? Do I know if I'm logging everything in correctly, accurately, or I'm just winging it? Right? Or I just got too comfortable with MyFitnessPal and I'm just winging it and just eyeballing portions and guesstimating stuff, and maybe you're drinking your calories and you're not even aware of that. Maybe you're just grabbing handful like BLTs, bites, leaks, and tastes of things, and you don't even notice, you don't account for, and that could be stalling your progress, right? You have to do this X-ray, this big picture overlook before you complain that you're not getting the results, right? And then the last piece of advice I think would be to, after you analyze and overanalyzed your actions for the past 3 to 4 weeks, then you have to work on your expectation of results. What is the expectation that you have? What kind of results you're after? Are you sure you have not made progress throughout this past 3 or 4 weeks? Maybe the scale isn't moving, but your measurements is dropping, but your clothes are feeling looser, but you just dropped a size in your pants, right? Maybe your pictures, like you can visually see that you're leaner and more toned. Because if that's the case, then who cares that the scale is not moving, right? Then you're still getting results. You just have to shift your perspective in terms of what it means to get results, right? Am I placing all my expectations on the scale and only on the scale? Or am I looking at it as just data that I collect every day and it's there, and I use that with and against all the other data that I have available, right? And then if everything looks good, you've overanalyzed yourself and your actions for the past 3 and 4 weeks, you've looked at the pictures, you've looked at the scale weight, average scale weight, you've looked at your measurements, you've looked at your pictures, you don't see any change anywhere, your clothes are fitting the same, you don't see any difference visually when you take pictures and you put them side by side. Nothing seems to be moving for real. Then it's time to assess and see what's happening. What could be happening? What could be causing your body to hold on to body fat? What's happening there? Is there inflammation? Is there any hormonal issues that could be addressed by a naturopath, by a doctor, by Dutch test? I don't know. Is there something that we can do in that arena? This is outside of my scope personally, because I'm not yet specialize in hormonal health. But if the person is being 100% consistent with everything, if everything is on point in terms of energy, in terms of sleeps, in terms of hydration, in terms of workouts and stress management, and all of those things are on point 100%, and there's virtually zero change on their bodies, then yeah, you might need to do a blood work and see what's there. Not with a regular doctor. You might need a Dutch test or a naturopath just so you can look into more variables than the regular doctors look. And that might be the case for some people. But before we jump into that conclusion, because it's just so easy to blame the hormones. Ooh, I've seen so many people. Oh, it's because I'm hypothyroidist. Oh, it's because it's my thyroids. Oh, it's my hormones. Oh, I have this hormone. No, maybe your problem is consistency. Maybe your problem is doing the right things most of the time. Maybe your problem is stress management. Maybe your problem, you're just not sleeping enough, not sleeping well. You stay up late watching Netflix instead of going to bed earlier. You don't plan your day, so you're always stressed out, running around, not knowing what to do, and that causes you stress, and stress holds on to fat and water and all of those things. So for us to conclude that, okay, there's nothing that we can do here. You have to go see a doctor. You have to go have your hormones checked. You have to do whatever that's outside of my scope. Then for that to happen, we need to first be very, 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 very sure that everything else is accounted for. And it's not just diet and workouts. It's stress management, sleep, quality of your food, hydration, steps, sunlight, vitamin D, omega-3, and things like that. Like just your overall health. So yeah. So I guess to conclude this topic and to summarize everything, I decided to talk about this because it was my frustration. And I know that a lot of people go through this. I like I talk to you guys on every check-in every week. I know that sometimes it's very discouraging to feel like you're doing all the right things and not see the results that you're expecting. It is very, very, very frustrating, and discouraging. And you're going to want to quit, and you're going to want to sabotage yourself, and you're going to want to question your goals, and you're going to want to question yourself. And sometimes a thought will pop your mind like, is this really important? Is this goal really important? Is stepping on stage really important for me? Like, do I really need to do this? You talk yourself out of your own goals because you cannot do the hard work necessary when you don't see the results, right? So be honest with yourself. Are you showing up 100% even when you don't see results? Are you invested in your process and doing all the things and trusting that it's going to work? Or everything you do comes from that place of it's not, what's the point? It's not going to work. What's the point? It's not working. What's the point? The more you say it's not working, the more it's not going to work. You're basically manifesting your own reality there. So it is really important to, stop, breathe, and ask yourself those questions and be honest and real with yourself. Reevaluate your goals, your expectations of results, and the actions, if your actions are aligned with the results that you're wanting to get. And how long have you been consistent? That's basically it. And having a coach allows you to vent whenever you need to vent, talk about those things whenever you need to talk about those things, put it out there before you sabotage yourself, because that's the first thing that I did. I told my coach what was going on. And guess what? She went through the same thing. right? She went through the same thing and she could understand what I was going through. And she gave me what I needed to do. She didn't give me what I wanted, but instead what I needed. I wanted more carbs. I wanted a cheat meal. I wanted a diet break. I needed to push harder. I needed lower carbs. I needed more cardio. Suck it up and do it. She didn't tell me that, but I had to tell myself that. Right? Suck it up and do it. That's what you need right now. That's what you need. Oh, and another thing that I started incorporating, or that I started doing as well, and I tell yourself this all the time, all you guys probably have heard from me before, is that you should be acting today as if your future self. Like imagine, because you're all on a journey, right? You're all transforming your bodies, transforming your lives, and you're becoming a different person. You're becoming a different version of yourself, right? Hopefully, because that's what happens when we transform our bodies. We find out different versions of ourselves that we didn't even know existed. We build a new person. So what would that best version of you do today with the challenges that you're facing today? What would that best version of you think, do, speak, right? Act as if you were already that person. What I did was, what would I pro? Okay, because I'm an amateur competitor, right? I'm not a pro, I'm not a professional competitive athlete. I just play with this. This is just for fun. Yeah, this is what I do for fun. But the thought came to me. I'm like, well, what would a pro bodybuilder do? She would suck it up and she would do what would be required of her to do. And that's what I did. I'm like, okay. Am I a pro? No. Am I going for my pro card? Probably not. But thinking like that gave me perspective, right? It gave me perspective that I'm not alone, that someone who has gone through the same path that I'm going through and got very successful, that person had to go this hard days like I'm going through right now, right? What would the pro bikini athlete Andrea would do? What would she do? She would suck it up and do the work. She would listen to her coach. She would bring up whatever concerns she would have to her coach. That's what pros do, right? So ask yourself that question. What would the best version of you do in your shoes today? How would she or he show up and think and speak and do all the things, right? It's a fun exercise to do. It's a fun exercise to do. All right. Whew. I talked a lot more than I thought I would. I hope that was helpful. I hope that those insights helped you in any ways. And does any of you have any questions for me or anything that you would like to point out?
Guys, for who is actually starting, do this daily. Don't think about tomorrow so much. Drink your water, do your walk, and think about today. Because today I ate nothing and I'm drinking water like crazy. But I'm gonna make this 1 month of low carbs. I'm gonna make it.
You can make it. You can make it work.
Oh my. Oh my, I'm actually pretty much dreaming with a hamburger. I'm not joking.
Yeah, me too. Me too. 100. Now I'm eating 120 grams of carbs a day.
My gosh.
And 40 fats. 40 fats.
My gosh. Yes.
Yeah, it
Not
sucks.
so-
It sucks. At some point, it will suck, right?
Yeah.
But you gotta do the work. And Luis Felipe is a very, probably the person who lost the most amount of weight in my program since I started. He lost so far 54 pounds.
Yeah, it's going to be like that this week. Yeah.
Yeah, 54 pounds since January. Like it's insane. He's a completely
I
different person.
lost pretty much a dog.
Yeah, you
For a
lost a
bit.
dog.
A lot of medium dog. But I got stuck. I got stuck. Not like stuck, but actually I didn't actually have any change in my weight for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Not actually it didn't change, but it was pretty much close. I remember when you
Yep.
gave me the first break.
Yep.
And guys, the thing is, when we hit these weeks that the weight doesn't change, the funny thing was she gave me the break, and after the break, everything that actually I was expecting for the last weeks just dropped after this during the next 2 weeks. The same thing now. I am actually pretty much having the same macros as Andrea now, a little bit more, but it's close. And the last 2 weeks, I lost 3 kilograms. That I think is almost 6 pounds. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I was actually stuck in 79 80 kilograms before as well. So it's just crazy. So, but we need to actually get to this point
Yep.
that we have these weeks that we don't have so many changes. But for the photos, I am actually trying to know who I am now because it's pretty much different.
Yeah, you became a new person. Literally.
Literally, yeah.
Get used to that. You have to get used to that.
Yeah, yeah, we have actually other pieces that when we are losing weight that we
Yeah.
face that is actually not actually workouts and water and actually walk, but it's interesting. But the way that I think I could actually make this 7 months without actually exceeding my macros, or even when I did, I could actually control the calories,
Yeah.
was pretty much actually doing this daily. Basically, it's this: if you win the day, it's a big win. And actually, after the 7 days, it's crazy because you can see the difference.
Yep, exactly. Once you manage, like, it's normal in the first week to feel lost and to feel that, oh, I'm not gonna make it. It's normal. But once you get the hang of it, once you find a meal plan, once you find your way of making it work, and you can be consistent with it, then you start seeing results like crazy, right? It's just a
Yeah.
matter of being consistent. Because if you do, like, if you track your macros for 5 days out of 7 days, and then you kind of wing it on the weekend, and you're basically not following exactly what needs to be followed, and then you're not going to see results. But once you start really being consistent and deciding that you're going to make it work, the results show up. You talked about the weight loss. Let me just share here my screen because this is crazy. So this is my weight for the past since I started, basically. So you see that I have like the weekly averages here, right? And the dropping calories and everything. And it has been, so I was losing about 1 pound per week. See, 1 pound per week, 1 pound per week. And then here is where my sleep started to decrease by a lot. So my weight remained the same for 2 weeks, and then it dropped another pound. And then all of a sudden I dropped a couple of pounds. And then for the past 3 check-ins, it has been exactly the same. And as crazy as it is, when you take the averages, you can kind of compare more fairly. But when you don't take the averages, you can make yourself go crazy, because one day 143.2, then 143, 142.8, yay, it's dropping. And then 144.4, and then 147, 44.7, and then 144, and then 144. Like, what the heck? right? And you're still doing the right things. You're still doing everything you need to do, right? And in fact, last week I got my calories dropped and my cardio increased and my body still didn't respond, right? So it is frustrating. It is frustrating. But if I had just say, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna eat whatever. I'm just gonna grab this and grab that. I would not even get to this average here. I would not stay the same. My weight would not remain the same. It would probably have gone up, right? And I was going to be doing myself a disservice by delaying the results that I needed, right? And by following everything to a T, then I'm able to come to my coach and ask for guidance or support, or she'll have everything that she needs from me to make the decisions that she needs to make in order to make changes, right? In order to implement a new set of macros or diet break or whatever. So yeah, I guess just wanted to share that too. Like, it sucks. It's frustrating. It's this, like, you will feel disencouraged. Like, you feel at some points that, oh, this is not going to work. This is not working. But you cannot buy into those thoughts. Those are just thoughts. You can choose to believe in them. You can choose to not believe in them. You can choose to believe something else, right? It's sometimes it doesn't feel like it, but we do have a choice. We have a choice in the types of feelings and thoughts that we choose to believe in, and that will dictate our actions. Every action is preceded by a thought. And if we choose to believe in those thoughts of self-sabotage, guess what? We're going to end up self-sabotaging ourselves, right? So yeah, anything else that anyone would like to point out, to add, to ask? I'm here for you.
I don't have a question, but yeah, before signing off, I definitely want to say, being the first week, I was lost. Some, like yesterday, I thought, okay, I've got sick. Maybe tomorrow I won't be track anything. Where am I going with this week? So, and was not sure what to expect at this call as well. But listening to you, listening to other participants, their comments and the stories, it just is motivating. Helped me to know that I'm not the only one who felt that way or who's feeling that way. And I think it also helps, Andrea, because you are also on a journey. So the coach being on a journey, it, when you're sharing your story, it almost felt like you know exactly what I'm feeling, you know exactly what I'm going through. So that just helps to connect on a different level as well. So yes, yesterday was a little tiring. I was allowing those thoughts to overpower me and thinking how it's gonna work if I feel sick like this, or like how long would I run? Would I be able to achieve? Those questions started appearing in my head, but I think I can safely say that leaving this call, I feel motivated and looking forward to the journey with you and the other participants.
Ah, that's so great to hear, Natika. That's so great. Thanks for sharing your perspective, and I'm happy to have you on the team. I'm happy to be helping you on your journey. And anytime you feel like you're almost buying into those kinds of thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
me, count on me, count on us. Put it in the group.
Yeah.
Join in the Facebook group. Put it in the Facebook group. Put it in the group chat. Like, get it out there.
Mm-hmm.
You're never alone on this. You're never alone. We're all going through the same journey here, and we all struggle. We all struggle. I'm glad that was
Absolutely.
helpful for you. Is there anyone else that would like to say anything or ask anything? You guys, I when I hit record on this call, you all disappear with your videos. When I'm not recording, everyone is like, oh, here's my dog, here's this, here's that. And now I'm here talking to myself. Yeah, you're the one. Whenever I record these calls, they're like, oh, I'm just gonna hide here. Jessica, Sibeli, how are you ladies doing?
Hi.
Hi. Jessica
Yeah.
just signed up, just renewed for 3 more months.
Mm-hmm.
Woo.
Here I go. Yeah,
All good
everything
this week? Anything
great.
that you'd like to ask?
No, no, everything's going great.
Awesome. That's
Mostly.
great. Awesome. Sibeli.
Yeah, hi everybody. It's Andrea.
Hi.
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. I'm trying to do my job and
Okay.
and yeah, this is the whole discussion from the beginning to the very end. It's definitely very useful and motivating also because despite I I was being honest with myself. If I'm honest with myself, I realized that yeah, I was especially thinking about the topic when you said that we should make ourselves a few questions on have I been consistent for the last few weeks and so on, and that we should not just look at what's happening just right now and think that that's it.
Yeah.
Nothing that we did, everything else we did in the past doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I'm really happy for having you, Andrea, guiding, actually leading us because you are always there, and it's you're really easy to talk to, understanding, tough when you have to, and I recognize that it has been quite a journey. So thank you. Yeah.
Aw, I'm glad to be on your journey, Sibeli. I'm really glad to be on your journey and to be part of your journey and your transformation, inside and out. Lots
Yeah.
of lots of progress in many different areas, and yeah, it's been a pleasure working with you,
Yeah.
with
Just
all of
that.
you. Come on.
Yeah. And your just the last week, I will not talk too much because I don't want to screw your recording, but your work is extremely important, Andrea, and I really wanted you to know that I really appreciate. I'm very thankful for having you and your work. I've been talking to people that are entirely lost. They are trying to be healthy, but they don't know the pathway. And I just understood how important your work is. So thanks for being here for us.
You're welcome. That's why I do what I do. Thank you so much for saying that. Made my day.
Yeah, but it's true.
Thank you. Thank you. Guys, if you don't have any other questions, then we're gonna wrap up here because it's almost bedtime for me because I'm an old lady who goes to bed really early, or try to. But yeah, amazing call, amazing talking to you guys. Welcome, Nitika. I know that Patricia had to leave. But yeah, thanks guys, Luis Felipe, Nitika, Jessica, Sibeli. Thank you all for being here and spread the word. Like if you've heard something on this call that you think it was helpful for your journey, if you had any insights or any lessons or anything that you've got from this call, just do myself a favor and post it in the Facebook group. Like, don't be shy. Post it in the Facebook group, the insights or the lessons or any type of help that you got from this call to incentivize others to show up as well. Because as our group grows, this is the easiest way for me to answer as many questions as possible, to be in touch with you guys more closely. And yeah, sometimes messages get lost. Sometimes, I try my best to respond as quickly as possible, but on an individual level, sometimes it gets harder. So this calls are a great opportunity for us all to be together, sharing knowledge, sharing experiences, sharing struggles and wins, and being together as a group. So let other people know, spread the word, put it in the group chat in Trainerize or in the Facebook group. Doesn't really matter as long as the word gets out there and more people join us on a weekly basis. Because one thing that I've noticed is the most successful ones are showing up to these calls weekly. Interesting. The most successful ones are showing up to the calls weekly. So yeah, that would be wonderful if you guys could do that. I would really appreciate it. And without further ado, let's just wrap it up and have you guys a very great night and great rest of the week as well.
Thank you. See you. See you next week, guys.
Thanks for
Thank
showing up,
you.
guys. See you next week.
See
Bye-bye.
you.
See you. Bye-bye.